today on NYSE Floor Talk is Harmit Singh. He is the Chief Financial and Growth Officer at Levi Strauss Co. Harmit, it is fantastic to have you here. Thanks for being on Floor Talk today.
Yeah, and it's great to be here after 5 years, celebrating our 5th anniversary of the IPO.
Exactly. You just rung the bell to celebrate that. How does it feel to be back at the NYSE celebrating?
In a lot of ways, nothing has changed. In a lot of ways, a lot has changed. And it's the same thing with our company. What has not changed is our people, our values, the culture we have. And what has changed is we're a bigger company, we're a more profitable company, and we're making this pivot to direct to consumer. So, time and some things don't change, something change, and it's good to have the magic of both.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
oh yes. So now talking about being profitable and all of that, you announced your first quarter earnings on Wednesday, and tell me about that. Share some of the highlights and what expectations you have for the year ahead.
Sure, we started the year strong. We had a great first quarter. Just reinforces that our strategies are working. Overall, we beat both internal and external expectations, both on the top line and the bottom line. We reaffirmed our revenue guidance for the year, which is 1% to 3% growth, and took our EPS guidance up. Now, underlying that, there's a lot going on, right? The Levi's brand has never been stronger. We're having, I believe, a denim moment globally. Levi's is leading the denim moment. It's in the center of culture. So that's fact number one. Fact number two is our direct-to-consumer business is humming, right? It grew 8%, 8 consecutive quarters of comp sales growth. Our business in the US Levi's business is actually up. US Levi's wholesale is up now for the second quarter from that perspective. Gross margins were up 240 basis points. And so we generally feel really positive about how the year's begun and what's ahead of us. Our view is that the US consumer is in a much better spot today than, say, 6 months ago. We're a little cautious in Europe and, again, very long on Asia and Latin America.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about your direct-to-consumer business. During your fourth quarter and fiscal year 2023 earnings, you introduced the Project Fuel initiative, which is aimed at enhancing productivity and profitability in direct-to-consumer. So tell me, what results have you seen so far?
Yeah, encouraging start, okay? And this is something that the entire company is focused on because our effort and our goal is to transform ourselves into a DTC first company. So what has happened and what's happening? A couple of things. We're simplifying a lot of things. We're narrowing our focus so we can accelerate the Levi's brand. So for example, we announced the exit of Denizen. We just announced the exit of our small Levi's footwear business. We're exiting a manufacturing plant in Poland. And so we think, and the other thing we have done is we have a lot of SKUs. I mean, if you've been a fan of the brand, I've been a fan of the brand for a long time. We introduce a lot of things. We don't necessarily eliminate the long tail. So we have eliminated about 15% of the SKUs. It allows us to give, allows us to get a lot of new stuff into the market, and I can talk about it. So that's fact number one. We are really going after reducing our cost base, and unfortunately, we just a couple of weeks ago announced a reduction in force just to simplify how we work from that perspective. But let's talk about DTC for a minute. With this pivot to more of a DTC first company, we're driving more productivity in our stores, and some indicators are our DTC business in the US was up 10%. Our DTC business internationally was up 8%. DTC business in Europe, ex-Russia, was also up. And it's all about ensuring we can drive higher revenue per square foot, and that we're doing by bringing traffic in, increasing our UPT, which is how many items you buy when you come into the store, and increasing the AURs, and importantly, driving higher profitability. So the program is just beginning. It's a 2-year program. The other thing we're doing is, because we want to be agile and accelerate our speed as we respond to consumer needs, we are actually rewiring our go-to-market calendar. Today, our go-to-market calendar is 15 months. So for example, we're already thinking of 15 months forward before we see how the products have hit the floor. and the impact of it. We're going to narrow that, reduce it to about 9 to 12 months. So that project is on. It takes a little time. And so the company is excited about it. People are excited about the change.
Now, you have had a focus on growing internationally. So what has been your performance like outside of the US?
Yeah, so international is what I call the growth engine of the company. I've spent half my professional life outside and half in the US. If you think of the apparel market, 75% of the apparel market globally is outside the US. When I joined the company a decade or so ago, 40% of our business was outside the US, majority of the business was in the US. Today, it's the reverse. 60% of the business is international and 40% is in the US. I'm not saying US is not growing, I'm just saying international is growing at a faster clip. The consumer is a lot younger, our brands really resonate well with the consumer, and with the growing middle class around the world is really making a difference to our business. And our brands, take Europe for example, our brands are more of a premium positioning. We sell more tier 1, tier 2 in Europe. In the US, the market is predominantly a tier 3 market. And so, for example, the Kenzo jacket that I'm wearing is actually designed by a designer in Japan, okay? And it is sold as a collaboration around the world, including in the US. So I think, the brand's having a moment, we're all about fashion and making sure we sell a lot of good product. And so I think having a global business makes a big difference.
All right, so let's talk about denim trends. What are you seeing? What's resonating with consumers?
Yeah, sure. So if you go to the runways, you walk the streets of Manhattan. I was in London 6 months ago. You walk Oxford Street, you see denim head to toe. It's denim on denim, and so denim's having a moment. We're on top of it. So what's really happening? We have a core business. To think the 501s. We celebrated the 150th anniversary a year ago. The 501s continue to grow. In quarter one, they were up 23% on top of 30% a year ago. The thing that the styles that are really resonating today with the consumers are the looser, baggier fits. I wore my first bootcut pant 517 a couple of weeks ago, and with a long flare, etc. But our looser, baggier fits today, men's and women's is up 40%. We just introduced 6 new styles, for her, in terms of a looser fit. So that's really a big trend. The other thing that's really taking off is the Western trend, right? Our Western, shirts, iconic shirts, were up 40% in the quarter, and so that's the other piece that's really resonating. And our women's business is still about a third of the business, but 75% of our shoppers are women. So our view is we can continue to grow that business. And so we've introduced skirts, we've introduced dresses, we've introduced jumpsuits, and they're up, triple digit in terms of growth. So those are the things that are really working well for us. But being a democratic brand, we have a good, strong core. We have newer styles that are coming, and so a combination of both help, grow this company big time.
Okay, so now I want to talk about your role, your title. You have a unique title. You're Chief Financial and Growth Officer. So how is that different from a traditional CFO?
Yeah, no, I'm humbled by the opportunity. To be honest, there are not too many CFOs who are growth officers. But I intrinsically, believe the CFO has to embrace growth. The best way to unlock shareholder value or stakeholder value is by driving the top line and doing it profitably. And so, yes, that's something that I've taken on for about a year or so. The other thing that I do believe, good finance people see everything. The key question is, can they impact everything in the company? Can they drive the business forward? Can they work with the marketing team and allocate resources accordingly? And so I think being the Chief Finance Officer and Growth Officer is a good combination. I hope is something that takes off. I mean, I read the other day on LinkedIn that the fastest growing job in corporate America was Chief Growth Officer. There are not too many CFOs or growth officers, but I think as you think trend is forward, hopefully you're going to see a lot more. The big thing that I do as part of my growth officer role is actually I actually run all of retail real estate. And if we are, as we make this pivot to a DTC first company, we're opening over 100 doors around the world across all our brands. And that is something that I kind of drive with my team. And it's a key ingredient of how to grow DTC. And so, again, I'm humbled and honored to be both CFO and growth officer.
Wow, well, it's been fantastic to talk with you, Harmit. So I have to say, I'm wearing my denim jacket from IPO day. So
Okay.
a timeless piece.
Yeah, that's true. 5 years later, and you're looking good in it. And the good thing about Levi's is it's timeless. You can wear jackets. I remember, I'll give you a story. About 8 years ago, I was in Germany. And Levi Strauss actually grew up in Budenheim, just outside Frankfurt. And so I met the store manager, and he was taking me to Budenheim. And we had 2 hours, okay? It was a drive, and he told me his story. He was wearing the jacket. It had a little bit of, stone in a couple of areas. And he says that jacket was handed to him by his father and was given to his father by his grandfather. All right, so it's clearly the vintage Levi's sells today. You have people who actually handed over generation to generation. So 5 years, you still got a lot of life left in the jacket.
Oh, Harmit, it's been wonderful to talk with you. Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk today.
Thanks for having me, Judy. Yeah, I appreciate it.